He's Aaron and I'm Deborah, and we've been married for nearly 15 years, and here are 7 things that can help you have a healthy marriage.
Yes.
Marriage is supposed to be for a lifetime, but you can enter it with certain different expectations of what your life is going to look like. You need to talk about these 7 things to help you be on the right track. And the first one is money.
Oh my days.
Money is actually one of the biggest contributing factors in divorce in the UK. You need to talk about, even before you get married, what is your expectations? Who's going to make it? What happens if one person makes more than the other person? What are your bank accounts going to look like? What are your expectations in terms of saving or spending? You need to talk about your money expectations.
Yes. Number 2, gender roles.
Yes, sir.
That's a hot topic, ain't it?
Really is.
Now, I am a man.
And I am a woman.
Therefore, we have different things that we even can do. For
Yeah.
example, there are no children being birthed by me.
No.
It's not happening. But we do need to make sure that we understand what is happening, each of us. So, for example, do I expect Deborah to have children? Okay, cool. Stay at home, be a stay-at-home mum, never go out to work, all of that stuff. Do I expect that? Does she expect me to do the thing where I stay at home and take care of the kids and she goes out to do the work and all that kind of stuff?
Is that a thing that you even expect of each other?
Who does the hoovering, man?
Who's going to take out the bins?
Dishes, etc.
Housework.
It's not just household chores though.
No.
For example, am I supposed to be the king of the house? I am the king of the house and she's the queen of the house.
Ta-da!
But really I think there should be a degree of balance, but who has the final say? You know, that kind of thing. So you need to have an actual discussion of what you expect, and just understand that even though you might expect something, it could change along the way just slightly, because people change just a little bit over time. So,
But we've done a whole video about gender roles and biblical gender roles, so check that out in the description.
yes indeed.
Number 3, what do you expect your church life to look like? Some people, they want to go to church every single Sunday to the same church. They want to be there on the dot, morning service every week. Other people maybe have a very different kind of vibe going on, maybe every other week, maybe afternoon service. Maybe they don't want to go to prayer meeting every week. Maybe they don't want to do Bible study. Maybe they do want to do Bible study, but not prayer meeting. Whatever it looks like, what do you expect your church life to look like as a married couple? When you enter a married, you become one flesh. So you really should have those discussions, because church life should really be a big part of a Christian's life anyway, let alone if you're married.
Yeah, and sometimes if you're involved in church, it could eventually lead to actual active participation in ministry. And
No, in platform ministry,
truth.
because all church life, all Christian life is ministry.
She said it correctly. But you need to be aware that that's one of those things that could change as you go along. But the good news, we're Christians, we believe in this sort of thing, that as you are led to do more active platform-based or more leadership roles or whatever, if that is the case, God will prepare you and lead you that way together, hopefully.
But even if you're a member part of the congregation, what does that look like in a practical week by week kind of scenario? You need to know expectations.
Children, you need to know what you expect.
Yeah. Do you want kids? Do you not want kids? How many kids do you want to have? When do you want to start having kids? Do you want to go straight away? You know, you're just going to keep going until you are no longer able, or are you going to have contraception? Are you not going to have contraception? All of those conversations.
All of those things.
Needs to be.
This is really, really tied up with, this is not nice to say it, but it's tied up with how old you are, each of you. When is the end date considered, when do you consider the end date to be for the possibility of children? All of this stuff is real. You can't just ignore it. And if you don't align, that's a big one.
Yeah, but you have to know each other's expectations. I mean, when we got married, I wanted 5 kids. I don't know I can't remember what you wanted. And we've ended up with 4. I think it was a compromise.
I think we met in the middle.
We met in the middle. But it was very much, we both wanted kids. And so our expectations aligned in that sense. But there was a compromise on how many. But also, I was done at 4.
I think we were done at 4.
Number 5, what are your boundaries with your own families? What are your expectations? Things like Christmas or Easter or if you're in the States, Thanksgiving. If you're not in the States, Pancake Day. I don't know. But
I think Pancake Day is probably your own household affair, ain't it?
But I don't know. That's the point. People have expectations.
Fair.
Right? So you might have different things going on in your own families. What is your expectations? But even like sharing information with your family members, one of you might be really open to do that. That's sort of part of your family culture. And the other person can be quite reserved in that sense. You need to have that discussion, expectations of what is okay to be shared. What are your boundaries, and in everything, what is your boundary in terms of having visitors into your home, all of those kind of bits. And it can kind of feel like overkill. There's so many conversations to have before you get married, but marriage is a really massive commitment, and you just have to have those conversations. And I think for us, we wish we had had some of those conversations before we got married, or certainly earlier on in our marriage. It would have saved a lot of confusion.
That's a nice way of saying it. But also marriage is a live document. Even though you're going into this thing and there are certain rules, of course, that are undeniable as Christians, you can look them up. We've got more videos about that. But it's a live document in so much as you can adjust things along the way. There are rules of engagement that you can talk to each other about before you get into conflict. And, you don't want conflict. Conflict is uncool, man.
Yeah. And not knowing each other's expectations, and then things not going the way the other person expects can then lead to conflict. So you're sort of getting in front of all of that, and you're setting yourself up for a more healthy marriage, because you're having like communication about your expectations. It's sort of like it's a thing that you do. It's a habit that you're building even before you say I do.
So when you're setting boundaries, this is another way to set a boundaries for conflict. You see, travel. We need to talk about travel. How much do you want to travel?
Yeah.
How little do you want to travel? Do you only have 4 places in the whole world that you want to travel to? I'm not talking from experience.
Or don't care where you go, you just want to see anything?
Because you just want a van to travel in and a tent.
No, not the tent. I want comfortableness. Anyway, guys, you need to talk about your expectations of travel.
Glamping was invented for her, man.
Look, I like to just do it. Even if it causes me hassle, I will go and see the thing.
Do you even like the beach?
You need to talk about your expectations of travel, because if something but if it's like in your heart that you want to travel and the other person's not fussed, and then you go into the marriage expecting to see the world together, the other person's like, yeah, that's not really what I want to spend my money on.
I want to go to work, I want to go home, I want to go to work, I want to go home, want to go to church, that kind of thing.
You need to talk.
Yeah, you need to talk.
Okay, and number 7 is your work-life balance. How do you expect that to look like? Are you expecting the first few years you're gonna have lots of hustle, you're gonna rise and grind, you're gonna go for it so you have a nice nest of wealth or property or whatever, and then so you can relax, or you're gonna sort of go at a more steady pace? What is your work-life balance? Or
you're just gonna rise and grind until you retire, or you just don't retire.
Yeah, have that conversation about work-life balance, because again, it really goes back to what is your family, what is your family culture? So some people 9 to 5 get home, relax, cool, that's a really regular thing. But for other families, it can be you get home, you eat dinner, you go to your second hustle, and that's the regular thing. And so having those conversations, again, it's about getting in front of the potential conflict. And dealing with it.
And speaking of work-life balance and dealing with money and all that kind of stuff, if you want more information on what we think is a practical way to deal with money, look at this video up here.